If you stuck your hand in right up to the wrist, you could usually uncover at least 3 different kinds of biscuit in Moby One's jar. Yoshi said that the crews on the other boats always skimped on biscuits, buying the cheapest arrowroot in value packs at the supermarket. But she reckoned that if you'd paid nearly $150 to go out chasing dolphins, the least you could expect was a decent biscuit. So she bought all butter Anzacs, thick, oaty, double-layered with chocolate, Scotch fingers, mince slices wrapped in foil, and very occasionally, if she could get away with it, home-baked cookies. Lance, the skipper, said she got decent biscuits because they were pretty well all she had to eat. He also said that if their boss ever caught her spending that much on biscuits, he'd squash her like a Garibaldi. I stared at the biscuits as Moby One headed out into Silver Bay, holding up the tray as Yoshi offered the passengers tea and coffee. I was hoping they wouldn't eat all the Anzacs before I had a chance to take one. I'd snuck out without breakfast, and I knew it was only when we headed into the cockpit that she'd let me dip in.
Moby One to Suzanne, how many beers did you sink last night? You're steering a course like a one-legged drunk.
Lance was on the radio. As we went in, I dropped my hand straight into the biscuit jar and pulled out the last Anzac. The ship-to-ship radio crackled, and a voice muttered something I couldn't make out. He tried again.
Moby One to Sweet Suzanne. Look, you'd better straighten up, mate. You've got 4 passengers up front hanging over the rails. Every time you swerve, they're decorating your starboard windows.
Lance McGregor's voice sounded like it had been rubbed down with wire wool, like the boat's sides. He took one hand off the wheel, and Yoshi gave him a mug of coffee. I tucked myself in behind her. The spray on the back of her navy blue uniform sparkled like sequins.
You seen Greg?
Lance asked. She nodded. I got a good look before we set off.
He's so done in he can't steer straight.
He pointed out of the droplet-flecked window towards the smaller boat.
I tell you, Yoshi, his passengers will be asking for refunds. The one in the green hat hasn't lifted his head since we passed Breaknose Island. What the hell's got into him?
Yoshi Takamura had the prettiest hair I'd ever seen. It hung in black clouds round her face, never tangling, despite the effects of wind and salt water. I took one of my own mousy locks between my fingers. It felt gritty, although we'd been on the water only half an hour. My friend Lara said that when she hit 14 in 4 years' time, her mum was going to let her put streaks in hers. It was then that Lance had caught sight of me. I guess I'd known he would.
What are you doing here, Squirt? Your mum'll have my guts for garters. Don't you have school or something?
Holidays. I stepped back behind Yoshi, a little embarrassed. Lance always talked to me like I was 5 years younger than I was. She'll stay out of sight, Yoshi said. She just wanted to see the dolphins. I stared at him, pulling my sleeves down over my hands. He stared back, then shrugged.
You gonna wear a life jacket?
I nodded.
And not get under my feet?
I tilted my head, as if, my eyes said. Be nice to her, said Yoshi. She's been ill twice already. It's nerves, I said. My tummy always does it.
Ah, hell. Look, just make sure your mum knows it was nothing to do with me, okay? And listen, Squirt, head for Moby 2 next time. Or even better, someone else's boat.
You never saw her, said Yoshi. Anyway, Greg's steering's not the half of it. She grinned. Wait till he turns, and you see what he's done to the side of his prow. It was, Yoshi said, as we headed back out, a good day to be on the water. The sea was a little choppy, but the winds were mild, and the air so clear that you could see the white horses riding the little breakers miles into the distance. I followed her to the main restaurant deck, my legs easily absorbing the rise and fall of the catamaran beneath me, a little less self-conscious now that the skipper knew I was on board. This, she had told me, would be the busiest part of today's dolphin-watching trip, the time between setting off and our arrival at the sheltered waters round the bay, where the pods of bottlenoses tended to gather. While the passengers sat up on the top deck, enjoying the crisp May day through woolen mufflers, Yoshi, the steward, was laying out the buffet, offering drinks and, if the water was choppy, which it was most days now that winter was coming, preparing the disinfectant and bucket for seasickness. It didn't matter how many times you told them, she grumbled, glancing at the well-dressed Asians who made up most of the morning's custom. They would stay below decks, they would eat and drink too quickly, and they would go into the tiny lavatories to be sick, rather than hanging over the edge, thereby making them unusable by anyone else. And if they were Japanese, she added, with a hint of malicious pleasure, they would spend the rest of the voyage in a silent frenzy of humiliation, hiding behind dark glasses and raised collars, their ashen faces turned resolutely to sea.